Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Animals and Ames. My name is Ron Edwards. I'm the Animal Control Supervisor here for the Ames Animal Shelter and Animal Control Program. And today's show is going to be all about bunnies. And this one here is Francesca. So let's get the show started. As you can see here, we do get a lot of rabbits here at the Ames Animal Shelter. Last year there were 16 rabbits that came in. And when we have a shelter that isn't really set up to house these guys, they're here set up in our hallway in what we believe is appropriate size housing for them. So you'll see these exercise pens that are actually puppy exercise pens that are set up to give them the extra space and places to run around in, and so they can do things that rabbits would naturally do in an environment. So we have a lot of rabbit adoptions every year. We do work with rescue organizations. We do have occasionally a few rabbits that get away from their owners that are returned to them. As you can see, the last 2 years there hasn't been a single rabbit that was euthanized for a severe medical situation. Typically with rabbits, if they're naughty rabbits and have bad behaviors, we're going to work with a rescue organization to get those to a safe place. So I'm very proud of the fact that our live release rate is 100% this last year for rabbits. So every single rabbit that came into our facility left here alive. So very proud of that fact. So our first guest with us today is Snoopy. He's about 3 years old. He's a white and black mini lop rabbit. And he was unfortunately surrendered to us because the owner was moving and could not have him in their new apartment. So he was just recently neutered. So he came into us. He was not neutered, but he is now neutered and ready to find his hopefully forever home. And one of the things that we stress with all of our animals, we want to make sure that these guys have a person, a family that's committed to them for the rest of their life, making sure that wherever they're going to move, they're going to be able to take Snoopy with them. So you can see he's a beautiful bunny. Love those lop ears that flop down like that. And you see he's enjoying his breakfast salad here. So he's right now chowing down on some kale. There's also some cilantro and Italian parsley and romaine lettuce there. That is an extremely important part of their diet. In addition to that, their main diet is the hay that you see there in their litter box. That provides them with additional roughage and things that help their digestive system. It's also used as their litter box, so it kind of serves a dual purpose. What they'll do is kind of go potty in the middle, and they'll kind of eat around the sides, so an area that hasn't been soiled. And those are changed out every day by our staff and volunteers to make sure that they have the absolute cleanest environment and making sure that these guys are as well cared for as possible. And our next guest with us today is the one that we started out the show with. That's Francesca. She's about 4 years old. She is a spayed female. We had her spayed here at the Ames Animal Shelter with our partner vet, Somerset Vet Hospital. And she is a lionhead bunny, so very unique looking. You see that long hair, just a very unique breed of rabbits, very popular. But she is available here for adoption. She was also owner surrendered because the owner was not aware that they had to pay a pet deposit where they lived. So once the landlord found out they had the rabbit, they had to pay that. So the best bet is always you want to be honest with your living arrangements and your landlord and make sure that you have all the documentation and things you need to have these kind of pets. And again, it's also very important to make sure that they're in appropriate housing. So these exercise pens that you can see here are really important. Number one, it keeps them from chewing on things that they shouldn't, like electrical cords or baseboards, any other, TV cabinets, things like that that rabbits love to chew on. This keeps them confined to a decent space. Of course, they can always have supervised playtime outside of this pen, but it does keep them confined where you don't have to worry about them chewing on things that they shouldn't and getting into things that could potentially harm them or even worse, kill them. So really important that you make sure you have appropriate housing for them. Hutches typically are not appropriate housing, and of course all of the rabbits that are adopted here at the Ames Animal Shelter must be an indoor bunny. We do not agree with or allow bunnies to live outside in hutches or cages outside. It's just not the appropriate environment, especially here in Ames or in Iowa, where we have extreme weather conditions, whether it's the extreme cold or extreme heat. These guys would just not be safe in that environment. So they want to be kept indoors where they're safe and sound. And our next three guests today, they're very special. This is a bonded trio. Normally you would not see this, and they've actually been on a previous episode of Animals in Ames. However, they've been with us since April 11th, and still unfortunately have not been adopted. And we know that it's a bit more of a challenge to adopt out three little furry creatures like this. Normally you wouldn't have a rabbit and guinea pigs available for adoption, or a bonded trio all together. They do have some different dietary needs, so it's really important that you make sure that the guinea pigs get that extra vitamin C that they need. That could be fatal to them if they do not get that. So as you can see, these guys are also enjoying their morning breakfast. They just love the kale and the greens and the cilantro, Italian parsley. Also very important to their diet is the pellets. It should not be the main part of their diet. Pellets should always be offered to them, but not the only thing that you feed them. And we often see that when animals are surrendered here to us, when rabbits or guinea pigs, that these animals are living mostly on pellets, and that's not an appropriate diet for them. Again, with these guys here, they also have the hay available that they're going to eat and also use as a litter box. Some are a little bit better about using the litter box than others, but you see what we've set up here is just some towels that every day we take up and wash and put down new towels. So you can do the same thing in your home environment, so it kind of helps to clean up the mess that they made throughout the night. So we have Brock here. Brock is the rabbit. He is also, just like Snoopy, a lop, also black and white. Brock is an older bunny. He's about 10 years old from what we understand. This unfortunately also was an owner surrender case where the owner could no longer care for them. So the lifespan for a bunny is, he's typically between 7 and 12 years old. So Brock is definitely a senior bunny, and we wouldn't want to separate these two guinea pigs from him. Brock lost his original bunny friend and went into some severe depression, so the previous owner decided that he was going to get him two guinea pig friends. So that's why Brock ended up here with the two guinea pigs, which is Freddie and Butterscotch. All three of these need to be adopted together. We do waive the adoption fee on the guinea pigs. So it's just the one adoption fee for Brock, which is $40. So $40 and you get these three guys. And again, this setup would be appropriate for them. It gives them nice space to move around. And I can tell you that this rabbit and guinea pig, they're very bonded together. They do groom each other. You can oftentimes see them snuggling with each other, late at night after they've had their dinner. So they're definitely a bonded trio, and we want to make sure they get adopted that way. And our final guest for today is Lollihops. She is a black mini lop bunny. We're not sure on her age. She is actually one of the animals that came in from a recent animal hoarding case that you may have seen on the news. She's a female. She does have some issues with her eyes that we need to see an ophthalmologist at Iowa State University. So she does have some special needs that we've got to kind of get together and figure out what's going on with her and make sure that she's getting the proper treatment to deal with her eye condition. At this point, we're not exactly sure what's going on, but those ophthalmologists at Iowa State University is going to be able to tell us that to make sure that we find the absolute best situation for Lollihops and make sure that she goes to a home that's going to care for her. She was left in a very dark canvas type kennel where she did not have any access to light or very little light. When we went into the home, there was very little evidence that the rabbit had been cared for properly. There was no food, no water in the kennel. So Lollihops is a very important bunny for us, so we want to make sure that the rest of her life that she is cared for and given all the proper things that they need. One thing that I really want to make sure that we mention and all the viewers take a look at is rabbit.org. That is a website that gives you everything that you want to know about these bunnies, how to properly care for them, feed them, how to look for a vet that can look at them because they're an exotic species. There's not a lot of vets that will see them in different communities, so it's really important that you know the services that are provided for these guys. So again, that's rabbit.org, and a great website for people that are just learning about bunnies and how to care for them properly. Well, that's our show for today. I wanted to leave you with this shot here of the Ames Animal Shelter. For those of you that have visited the shelter, you know that we have very tight quarters here. We don't have a special place for these bunnies here at the shelter, their own special place. So we have them here in the hallway. So it's definitely a tight situation, but what we don't want to have happen is to have the rabbits in inappropriate housing cages here at the shelter. So we've really taken up a lot of our hallway space, actually all of it, to house these guys in what we feel is an appropriate size environment, living environment for them. It keeps them safe from other animals, keeps them from chewing on things that they shouldn't. So it does create a bit of a space challenge here for us at the Ames Animal Shelter. So that's why we really want to get these guys adopted. First of all, they need to be in a home environment. Living in a shelter is not the same as living in a forever home. So again, check out rabbit.org. Come on down to the Ames Animal Shelter if you want to add one of these furry, beautiful creatures to your home, and we'd love to introduce you to them and see if it might be a good match for you and your family.